Our score, we touched on the irresistible force Corey Dillon against the immovable object Spencer Tillman, that being the Ravens' #1 against the rush defense. So far, all Ravens, and Cincinnati's got to do something from an offensive standpoint to get off the schneid.
Well, we know coming in that something had to give, and the bottom line was you were facing that defense that was #1 in the National Football League. And look at the total yards right now for the Bengals, 87 yards. I mean, this is a group that has just totally dominated the rush department the last couple of weeks, Timmy, and it's been none effect right now.
From a red zone offensive standpoint, remember the Ravens have been shut out 21 quarters. Brandon Stokely underneath, and then the Sharp show began for Trent Dilfer.
Yeah, no question about that. Brandon Sharp did a great job of moving. First of all, this was a seam route, and then on the backside of that play, he's going to improvise a little bit on a broken play, just staying alive, getting vertical, and then turning all of a sudden laterally to get in the end zone. Tremendous communication between the quarterback. Trent Dilfer thoroughly excited with the results. He's showing some of the requisite things that needs to happen for him to take complete control of this offense, Brian Billick's wide open style.
There you see the first half possessions for Baltimore, and again, they really did not have good field position those opening drives, and then they took control. The key play may have been the turnover when Sam Adams caused the fumble. Michael McCrary recovered, and that led to the first touchdown in the opening moments of the second quarter to Stokely. And then after that, Baltimore's offense really got going, and you could see how fluid they were and how comfortable Trent Dilfer was becoming. Neil Rackers will kick it away for Cincinnati. They had won the toss and received to open the game. Corey Harris is back deep for Baltimore. Takes it on the run at the 6. A little stop and start. Nets Harris a healthy return beyond the 30 to the 33-yard line. That's a 25-yard kickoff return for Corey Harris.
A tremendous return. You know, one of the things about special teams, everybody has lane integrity. So when you can start one direction and come back, Timmy, it's awful exciting, and opportunities are created off of that. Tremendous job on the return by Harris.
Jamal Lewis, who had such an outstanding first half, joining up with Dilfer. It was really Lewis's success that led to those numbers for Dilfer. Only after the ground game was effective. Now a little bootleg action for Trent. And he will take himself out. He felt the heat of Michael Bankston. It was Bankston who had Dilfer wrapped up, and he got away from the pressure on that last touchdown pass to Sterling Sharp. Bankston will be remembering the one that got away with pressure in that last sequence for the touchdown for Baltimore in the third. Shannon Sharp's second touchdown catch of the day. It was the third touchdown pass thrown by Dilfer. Quick pitch to Lewis. He surges ahead to the 37-yard line in the arms of Amiga Spearman, rookie out of Ole Miss, who's played very well. Free agent pickup.
You know, Tim, one of the things we got to start looking for collectively is how the Bengals respond to what happens, because what they've been enjoying success on offense the last couple of weeks have come against the 15th ranked and the 29th ranked defenses in football. So the key is, was that just a farce? Was that just a flick in the plan, or were they really a serious offensive juggernaut? That plays well because the defense takes their cue from the offense sometimes.
3rd and 6 for Dilfer. Sharp's got it, but shy of a first down, it appears. Corey Hall brought him down. Hall had a concussion and could not get back to the lineup with the inspired play of Chris Carter. So Cincinnati's defense forces a punt formation. Trent thought that Shannon had the necessary yardage and said, oh, no, didn't go the way we wanted. Exasperation. Things have been going so well for so long. Kyle Richardson to punt it away. East is back deep. Fair catch called for at the 19. Bengals will have it at their own 19-yard line after a 38-yard boot. Just underway, third quarter. Baltimore leads 24-0. (24-0) Baltimore. Here at Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati, the Bengals with their first drive of the second half. Billy Smith would like to hear something other than boos and sacks in the second half. Got a little of both in the first. Nothing doing for Dillon. not as if Baltimore doesn't know what's coming. Tony Siragusa there to bring him down, only a yard pickup. The Goose, as they call him. Another one of the more affable men you'll run across.
And Timmy, I'll tell you, there's certainly been an uptick. You can't argue about that. Uptick in the offensive production, particularly in the run department since LeBeau took over. But in this particular game, they've only got 36 yards rushing on the ground. So, you're dealing with the situation where the last 2 games they had 586. So once again, at some point, they've got to start questioning themselves.
Wide open across the middle. Tony McGee. Hauled down at the 41-yard line by Kim Herring. A 39-yard pickup. Well, that may put a little step into this Cincinnati offense.
Well, Kelly got lucky here because he had a soft interior defense. They obviously were playing some man-under concepts, would let McGee open underneath and deep enough to have a clear shot at it. But that isn't going to happen a lot with this defense that uses a lot of zone blitz combinations.
At the 41 of Baltimore. Play fake. Smith looking long. Incomplete. Intended for Warwick. He was very well covered. In fact, in double coverage.
Yeah.
Kim Herring was over there, and he tipped it away.
Yeah, and the pass to McGee prior to that last play, again, that's something that doesn't happen often. This play illustrates it. You're going to find 3 defenders within 3 feet of this receiver, Warwick, and then here's another defender coming in the top of your camera there. At least 2 guys visibly seen there. That's double coverage, triple coverage. Herring and Starks, they're all over the receiver.
East, wide to the bottom of your screen. Warwick to the top. And now Dillon trying to bounce outside and just piercing through there to cut him down. Cornell Brown and Wad Woodson.
And if you're wondering if Woodson still has it, boy, I tell you what, the quickness of which he got back into that Bengal backfield was just like a spry rookie.
Top 10 on the interception list.
The thing I like about him, he's been doing what he's been doing. Corner cat blitzes, and when all of a sudden his skills start to deteriorate a little bit, they move him back to safety, but he still can be as effective on most of the receivers in the National Football League to this day. Rod Woodson is a tremendous talent.
3rd and 14. Here comes the blitz from Harris, and Smith is down near midfield at the 49-yard line. Peter Boulware and Corey Harris were bringing the heat on Achilles Smith.
Well, this is what you call a coverage sack right here. Achilles Smith, a lot of it, perhaps he's not comfortable with what he's seeing offensively, but you got to credit that Ravens secondary because they're the ones that are doing the job. Corey Harris in there helping out on the effort. Peter Burwell doing a tremendous job on the tackling.
Punt time for Daniel Polk. Jermaine Lewis standing inside his 10-yard line. To pooch it, does get it high. They'll let it bounce well into the end zone. 49-yard boot. Ravens will have it at their own 20 when we come back. Trent Dilfer looking to add to his gaudy numbers. Off the Ohio River, win one for Paul, the legendary Paul Brown, the man for whom this stadium is named. Paul Lewis trying to get ahead for about a yard or so. Michael Bankston makes the stop. Next Saturday on the Home Depot College Football, how about sweet Lou Holtz and his Gamecocks as they travel to the Swamp to take on Steve Spurrier's Gators. And it all begins at 3 Eastern with Volkswagen College Football Today. Join Spencer and I for that. It's always a pleasure bringing it to you every Saturday on CBS Sports. 2nd down and 10. No gain on that last play for Lewis. Big series here for the Cincinnati defense. They really need to give their offense some quality field position. Dilfer's pass knocked away. And Clark Rios asking for a little flag help, but he won't get it. Rodney Heath with pretty good coverage there against Kadri Ismail.
One of the things that this Raven offense, passing-wise anyway, hasn't been able to do, of course, they were ranked 23rd in passing offense. They haven't been able to really affect teams downfield for those intermediate routes. But what we've seen this afternoon is we've seen a Trent Dilfer make quality decisions. He isn't forcing the ball like Achilles Smith has for much of this game. And I think that's helping his team a tremendous amount today.
That's taking over for Tony Banks the second half in the Titans game. And Trent thought that he would be a backup quarterback when he signed the free agent contract for 1 year in Baltimore. Now looking long for Patrick Johnson. He's got it at the 40-yard line and still on his feet. Finally hauled down at the 31, beating Rodney Heath. And we've got a marker down near Trent Dilfer, way back upfield. 50-yard gain, but a hold will bring it back. That's a huge break for Cincinnati.
Holding, 60, offense, 10 yards, be third down.
That's Jeff Mitchell, the center, just back from injury.
Yeah, even though there's a penalty on the play, Timmy, I think what it does, it shows that Dilfer is capable of making the big pass when he needs to. You got pressure from Michael Bankston. You got Jeff Mitchell. Actually, the holding call was on him. The key is he is showing patience. He hadn't been able to have that type of ability to do that in the past, primarily because he wasn't in that type of a scheme. But when he starts to show signs that he can manipulate this offense, throw deep with touch, throw those intermediate routes, despite bodies being around him, making quality decisions, he's showing Billick that he can embrace this, for lack of a better word, West Coast style offense.
Let's face it, he's been very effective, but only after Jamal Lewis had his way on the ground.
Right. It sets it up, as you pointed out. If you can't run the ball, that cuts your opportunity in half of success.
Back in his end zone, Dilfer lets it fly, another marker down. This time for Jermaine Lewis, and it's incomplete, and we may not have another holding call. Oliver Gibson trying to help Walt Coleman make this official call, and he does. There's the indication.
Holding, 82, offense, penalties decline, fourth down.
That one against Shannon Sharp, second time he's been flagged today.
Shannon had hands to the face earlier. He's in motion here, coming across the formation, and he's just settling in, right? And then he gets this. Shannon's got his guy on an inside release, and all of a sudden, Michael Bankston is in front of him, not where Shannon wants him, so he's wanting to protect his quarterback. Probably a wise decision. Otherwise, if Dilfer doesn't see him, he gets hammered.
Shannon wanted to dance the waltz there. Kyle Richardson boots it away. This is a low punt, should be returnable. Yeast has great speed, looking to get to the outside, and does. Look out! Out of bounds at the 15-yard line. 27-yard return on a low trajectory punt.
Yeah, and that's what you don't want to have when you've got a punt situation. A team's got an opportunity for a return. One of the things I see here is a great job of getting to the perimeter. Great job of pulling off the potential trip block there.
That's just speed.
Absolutely.
That is just raw speed, and he has plenty of it. He's one of those 4.2, 4.25 guys in college. His specialty was running back punts for touchdowns nearby Kentucky. That's tells you all you need to know about Cincinnati's red zone offense. Play fake and a bootleg. Achille had his man and did not pull the trigger. Rod Woodson runs him out. Well, he had an open Ron Dugans and didn't let it fly. Look at that. Only NFL team without a touchdown pass in the second half. And again, no one's more aware of these stat facts than Achille Smith.
Yeah, one of the things Achille's got to do, he talked about how inept he's been. Dugans is wide open. He gets past the corner. Great job. Dwayne Starks has covered him, but he gets in behind him. Achille has decided at that point to pull it down and run with it. He's got to have more patience.
2nd and 7. Lionel Dalton makes the stop of Corey Dillon, whose rushing stats are taking a beating today against this vaunted Baltimore rush defense, best in the league.
Well, it's going to continue to happen, Tim, because, again, we talked about how everything kind of gets compressed down here once you get into 20. Running becomes tougher. Certainly, passing becomes tougher because the field shrinks from the depth point of view. It's a tremendous job. Now, Corey, you look at his first 8 carries, 30 yards. Since that time, his last 4 carries, minus 18.
That's Yeast. He has it at the 5-yard line. Should be a first down. Rod Woodson right there with him.
Yeast does a fine job. Woodson's going to eventually close on this play, but this is just a little looky route. Got it down by the knees, just cradles it. Yeast did a fine job on that possession route.
Well, they were shut out the last time they played the Ravens, 37-0. They look to avert that here. Dillon. Jamie Sharper, number 55. I talk so much about Boulware and Ray Lewis, you sometimes tend to overlook Jamie Sharper, who also is very effective and very quick at outside linebackers.
And this is what speed will do for you defensively. So it looks like some alleys in there. All of a sudden, they just close in a hurry. Dillon doesn't have a prayer getting through that Raven front four.
They're just so tough up the middle with Siragusa, a plugger, and Adams, a playmaker, and Ray Lewis at middle linebacker. Second and goal. Smith in trouble. Now looking to ad-lib and throws it away. And a lot of heat again coming from Baltimore.
Yeah, and the thing that's causing him problems, Achilles Smith is trying to get out of trouble here, but that Raven interior line is still pursuing. You see Warwick in the back of the end zone. He's sitting there. Hey, here I am. Here I am. Achilles doesn't find him.
Yeah, there's just some panic, and you can see that there's some anxiety in Achilles' face, and when under pressure, he gets those happy feet.
We got something interesting happening here in the formation.
Look at this.
Split.
Warwick, an old Florida State play. Bobby Bowden-esque. Touchdown. The Bowden-Ruski makes it to Cincinnati. He did that against Florida in one of the games of the year in college football last year, putting Warwick under center for just this play.
And you know, a tremendous job by Anderson pulling. Look at the big guy, 71. Willie Anderson outside does a tremendous job of knocking out Dwayne Starks. Doesn't have a shot against that big fella.
Now, when Achilles Smith went wide, everyone turned and said, oh, number 80's under center. Rackers with the extra point. Now the Bengals get on the board. And as his old college coach would say, Peter, get the ball in the end zone, dadgummit. It's a young team with some playmakers, and that was one of those touchdowns for Peter Warwick that would be one of those rah-rah sis-boom-bahs right out of college.
Boola boola, darling.
As your old coach, Mr. Glanville, would say, right?
There she goes.
Rackers. He put the pedal to the metal in that kick all the way through the end zone. And let's see if this gets Cincinnati pumped up. 24-7 Baltimore. Okay. And the bad blood continues. I didn't see where that happened. Did you? We'll have to show that, I guess, when we come out of the break. Spikes and who? (24-7) Baltimore. Tim Brando alongside Spencer Tillman here in Cincinnati. The Bengals coming off their first score. Peter Warwick under center, taking it out from 4 yards away. And now the Ravens go to Jamal Lewis. He's stopped by Michael Bankston, the crowd trying to get into this. After the emotion, there was some extracurricular activity at the conclusion of the kickoff. Takeo Spikes and Brad Jackson got involved with one another. The bad blood between these two stemming from the September 24th game when a number of Bengals players, including John Copeland, the defensive tackle and defensive ends for Cincinnati, were very upset, felt that it was unprofessional for them to be throwing to the end zone late. Lewis ahead to the 25, maybe the 26. Amiga Spearman took him down. In that last meeting, the Ravens were hot. They were playing very well. Had everything going their way. Won it 37-0. And the following day, Bruce Coslett said, "I'm out of here." And in fact, during that game, he and Corey Dillon had a tete-a-tete. Dillon took himself out of the game, and it was pretty obvious that there were major problems. Achilles Smith was knocked out with a concussion by Rob Burnett. But the Bengals won't forget the fact that the Ravens were still going for more scores late in the game. Pass is complete to Holmes, and he's taken down by Takeo Spikes.
Well, Timmy, there's ebb and flow in the course of any game, and as you watch this last series, it's clear that the tide is starting to shift a little bit in terms of the emotional flow back toward the Bengals a little bit, but they've still got a long way to go. They're running the ball. It's going to take them a lot longer to score and get back in this thing legitimately than it would take, let's say, an open attack like the Ravens are displaying.
Kyle Richardson will punt. Remember, it was Yeast's 27-yard return of a low punt that set up Cincinnati's first scoring opportunity. Much better punt this time. High, and fair catch called for by Yeast. One of his defenders nearly knocked him down. Very dangerous at the 37-yard line. 36-yard punt as we go to break. You bet. (24-7), Baltimore with a lead. 4 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Quality field position on this possession. And the body language of Achilles Smith has not been good. Let's see what happens in this series. Corey Dillon bouncing outside and moving forward. A late flag does come in. The Bengals were asking for the flag before it came for the face mask. Lionel Dalton, number 91, had a hold of him.
And Tim, I'm not so sure if he actually had the face mask, or if he didn't have the inside, the lower portion of the helmet.
Still a violation.
It sure is a violation, but it's
big time violation.
Yeah, big time violation. I think it had his.
Walt Coleman will give us the call.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness on the defense, grabbing the opening of the helmet, 15 yards, first down. Going from right here, Andre.
I think what you're going to see here was just such a violent reaction. You got a guy going 4.5, 4.4 speed. He actually did grab the base of that face mask, actually. Grabbed the little ear hole. And I think the fact that Dillon's head just kind of snaps around pretty clearly, that's pretty flagrant there. You know, in the back of those helmets, it says Noxey approved. It says using this helmet to butt, spear, or ram can cause paralysis or death. They put a tremendous amount of focus on protecting the head of every player. And anytime a hand shot, like we saw Shannon Sharp deliver earlier in this game, or someone grabs that thing around the head area, that's a very dangerous situation.
First and 10, they go reverse to Warwick. They're set for it this time. Chris McAllister wraps him up, read it perfectly, and he's back at midfield. That's a loss of 6. Now we're talking about getting the ball to Warwick. This is another example of Dick LeBeau and Kenny Anderson trying to get him the ball somehow, some way.
Yeah, getting the ball to a guy like number 80, Warwick, in motion does a tremendous amount of things for you. First, he doesn't win the individual battle here, but in 99% of the situations, Peter Warwick will win the individual war.
Smith, incomplete. Again, the timing pattern to Warwick. Sharper was there in coverage. Monday on CBS begins with an all-new King of Queens starring Kevin James and Jerry Stiller, followed by the new comedy hit, Yes Dear. Then don't miss Monday's #1 comedy, Everybody Loves Raymond, followed by Becker starring Ted Danson, and Monday's #1 drama, Family Law, now with Tony Danza. It's all here Monday on CBS. Third down, 17. Smith's pass incomplete. And I tell you, Craig Yeast cut off that.
He gave up on him.
Yes, he did. He cut off on that route, and, you know, that's not on Achilles Smith.
Well, Craig Yeast, what he was looking at was triple coverage. He was walking into a zone situation. Achilles waiting on him. He's going to put the ball where it needs to be placed, but he just gives up.
Yeah.
You see him? If you're sitting there and Achilles not happy with that, he says keep going. That's a zone situation, but you got a man in your hip pocket showing you, man, continue on with your route.
You know, that's one of those, hey, you're going to have to take the heat. You're going to get hit. Deal with it.
You bet.
High punt into the end zone for a touchback, a 52-yarder. That bounced into the end zone and then came out. It was in the end zone for the touchback. So the Ravens take over 1st and 10. You know, the conversation continues with Yeast and Achilles Smith, but I mean, this is one of those, the way the day's going for Smith, he has to get help from his receivers. He didn't get any there.
And if you noticed who was in that situation, you know, we talked about zone coverage combinations that they employ on defense. That was Ray Lewis sitting back there that deep. That's the reason why he was tiptoeing. That was no safety coming out of that hole. You got a big guy back there that can knock your head off.
Ken Anderson, and by the way, a pleasure to chat with him. He's
what a class act.
Yeah, he's up for the Hall of Fame this year. Doesn't necessarily expect it. Is honored to be nominated. He's been with this organization a long, long time and wants to see it make its way back to the glory years when he was quarterback. Pass is caught by Sharp out to the 32-yard line. Chris Carter made the tackle. You know, in some ways, when you have a young team, yeah, it's very tough on an organization. We have an injured Raven. Appears to be Mike Flynn, who's been bothered by some injuries all this year, as has Jeff Mitchell. In fact, he had to play some center when Mitchell was out. They're looking at his hand. Anyway, going back to Ken Anderson, you know, when you talk to him as we did on Friday, I get the feeling that a coach, purely from the coaching perspective, loves working with young guys. One good thing about a bad situation is the Cincinnati Bengals have had their fair share of young players the last 10 years.
Yeah, they have, and they've lost a bunch of them, though. They've gone on to have success in other players.
As soon as they got really good, they were gone.
You bet. And that's got to be discouraging if you're Anderson, too. I mean, he's seen a lot of talent come in and through here.
Wilfer's pass is caught. Qadri Ismail ahead for the first down at the 46-yard line. That's a 13-yard pickup.
And Trent, well, I tell you, did something on that play that Achilles Smith could learn from, and that's hitting the guy in motion and giving him an opportunity to make something happen after he catches the ball. Oftentimes the ball has been on the back shoulder of the receiver when Achilles thrown it. Really doesn't give a great runner who can run after the catch an opportunity to make plays for you.
4 catches, 42 yards for the man once known as the Missile.
Oh, boy,
he's groggy. Tried to get to the sidelines and then lost it. Remember, he came along and played at Syracuse after the Rocket had been at Notre Dame. We'll just have to see where this came after he had made the catch. He seemed to be all right, and then as he started to make it, I think he's just maybe ill. I mean, certainly he didn't seem to be injured in any way off of that play.
Yeah, clearly it didn't reveal anything. I mean, I thought for a minute that perhaps his head hit the turf, but I'm not so sure if that was it or not.
Yeah, he just he seems to be ill. And has lost obviously the ability to carry himself to the sidelines. He's going to need some help to get to the bench. And we'll check on his status and pass it along as soon as we can. Nothing happened in that tackle or any time during the time in which he got up and made it to the sidelines to indicate that he was injured in any way. First down. Set up the screen. Jamal Lewis again. That's been there all day long. Armiga Spearman makes the tackle for Baltimore, or for Cincinnati.
You know, and one of these types of offense is really interesting because what they do is they consider, in a West Coast or open style offense, they consider a little pass or dink pass to the receiver just like a running play. It's a high percentage play. It's not a high risk play. Billick has done a tremendous job with his offensive scheme of getting to the guys that can make plays for him and not forcing this pass and wide open concept.
Hey, Lewis has 3 receptions for 70 yards today, 90 yards rushing, 160 yards all total of the Baltimore offense. And a flag comes down prior to the snap, or at the snap, may have been motion.
snap. False start. 62. Offense. 5 yards. Still first down.
Mike Flynn, who had just come out of the game a moment ago, is guilty. Here is Ismail walking back to the huddle in real time. Looks all right there. Now he feels something. He raises his hand. You don't see his hand raised there, but he raises his hand, wants to come out, and is simply walking. We'll get back to that in just a moment. Play fake for Dilfer. Out to Gash. Sam Gash, the outstanding blocker, forced to start at fullback today for Ian Badejo. Obafemi Ian Badejo's out with a toe injury. Takeo Spikes made the stop. And you see he's getting some fluids over there. It appeared as if he had become ill in some way once he got over to the sidelines.
You know, a lot of times, Tim, receivers, when they're running routes, just like sprinters, they'll hold their breath.
That is the end of the third quarter.
Well, he'll shake out the cobwebs as we end the third quarter. Qadri Ismail being replenished on the Baltimore sidelines, explaining how he felt when he came off and getting something in his body there. Second down and 12. Agar could not stretch that big frame of his out there to spear that one. Well, we talked to Brian Billick. He said that at some point after the October fall, the points could come in a flurry, and they did.
There's a big difference right there at the turnovers, my friend. When you have that many turnovers, 60% more than they've had, that can cause problems.
And the October fall could be making its way back up in November when the games really begin to count. And he has a very favorable schedule the second half of the season. This is one of those games when you look at Baltimore's situation for the playoffs, they absolutely had to have this one. Blitz, and down goes Dilfer. Corey Hall coming from strong safety.
And that's the first mistake that Dilfer makes, perhaps hanging on the ball a little bit long. It's a basic 5-step drop. Actually, that's a missed block up front. Corey Hall in there for Cincinnati. Probably, though, that one's on the shoulders of Trent Dilfer. Probably needs to get rid of it a little bit quicker on a 5-step drop. 3.2 seconds, that ball needs to be gone.
Kyle Richardson to punt it away. Yeast is back deep. Gathers it in at the 9. Ahead to the 17-yard line. 36-yard punt and an 8-yard return. 24-7 Ravens lead. Qadri Ismail warming up now. He was given a candy bar. We were told that he had gotten to the sidelines, was very lightheaded, obviously needed to be replenished.
Yeah, there are a lot of reasons that can happen. We don't ever want to speculate. I think for a receiver, any number of factors can contribute to him going out like that.
Battaglia stopped by Cornell Brown, and the hits just keep on coming. Marco Battaglia on the receiving end, a 7-yard gain. Friday on CBS, the fugitive is taken hostage, and you'll never guess what happens next. Don't miss the most terrifying episode ever. Tim Daly stars in the all-new Fugitive Friday at 8, 7 Central on CBS.
This Cincinnati offense has been under wraps, that's for sure.
Second down and 3. Dillon. One thing about Corey Dillon, he does get the first down there to the 29-yard line. Jamie Sharper makes the stop. You know, someone may break his record, which was Walter Payton's record, 278 yards rushing, but I doubt that they'll break the record with as few or fewer carries than he had. I mean, he is a big play, big-time running back. You see just 23 yards today, but, you know, he popped an 80-yarder against the Titans when we were here 4 weeks ago. Over the middle, incomplete. Dillon, the intended receiver. But you know, you talk of speed, strength, the ability to get it done after contact. 278 yards in 2000. Look at the kind of company that he's with right there. Peyton, O.J. Simpson on a couple of occasions. Most yards rushing in a single game. And he broke the record in that win over the Broncos on a touchdown jaunt. Did not realize it until the number was put on the scoreboard after he had gotten to the sidelines. Going deep for Warwick. He has a step. Yet another drop. And he's had a few of them.
And it doesn't seem to matter if they're short and intermediate routes or if they're long routes. They're dropping far too many passes.
Dwayne Starks was there with him. Now, he did have to make an adjustment on the ball, but he had it.
Yeah, I mean, the defender falls down, though. I mean, he had it in his gun sight. How many times have you seen Warwick make that kind of catch when he was at Florida State?
And, you know, there was really no danger of not being able to get both feet in bounds. You can't even use that as an excuse.
The catching the ball was really never the knock when he came into the league. It was his route running ability. Not very efficient route running. But his catching is suspect now.
On 3rd and 10. Pass is caught. That's Ron Dugan's, but not enough for the first down. A yard shy. Ray Lewis, his 6th tackle of the day, and the fans obviously want the Bengals to go for it with other 13 minutes left at 2 and 6.
Well, they're going for it, Tim. If they don't make it on this, just watch the body language of everybody that comes off of this field.
Yep. You're basically saying, if you're Dick LeBeau, game, set, and match right here.
You bet.
4th down, a long one.
The problem is, you know they're going to run it. You're going to have 8, 9 men down in that box, and this is just mano-a-mano, brother. Nope.
Nope, not even close. Not even close. In fact, he may have lost a half yard to a yard. Tony Siragusa, the classic plugger. Not many better at 6'3", 340, 11 years out of Pitt. Plugging the hole.
Little ISO play here. Dillon's looking for some positive yards. He's not going to find it. Too many bodies in there.
Let's watch Siragusa here. Number 98.
Who wins the war of push-up at the line of scrimmage? Oh, my goodness.
I remember Tony served up a Thanksgiving dinner for Jim Nantz last year. Quite the chef.
Looks like he's had a lot of practice.
Yes, he has. Fun-loving guy, an interesting person to chat with.
I'm not going to tell him that.
What, Jim or Tony?
No, about the practice he's had.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sure he'll hear about it. Yeah, when he's done, he'll probably be in the booth, too. On 1st down, Dilfer's pass is caught. Shannon Sharp in the arms of Darrell Williams. Darrell Williams very active today. He has 8 tackles.
We've seen Shannon catch one vertically through the seam. We've seen Dilfer get it to him on an improvised play. Now this is a basic out route, showing you his versatility. Able to make tremendous moves like that on cornerbacks, coverage men. He's basically a big receiver, wide receiver.
Well, they've gotten it to him 7 times today, and a couple of touchdowns as well. You know, only Denver's Mike Anderson, 676 yards, has more rushing yards than Jamal Lewis. And Jamal is up after that particular carry, 93 yards on the day, but he's only 50 yards or so behind Mike Anderson, 623 for him on the season. That's 2nd best among rookies in the NFL as of today. 3rd down and 2. Well, that was a tough catch to reel in, but Jermaine Lewis managed to at the 20-yard line. With the defenders converging all around him, Tremaine Mack among them.
And that patience and that stick-to-itiveness is what these Cincinnati receivers need. You see him double clutch that ball, 3 guys around him, 2 guys in immediate area, but yet he maintains, gathers himself, and makes the tremendous catch.
1st and 10. Gash, he's the up back as Lewis dots the I. Stopped after a pickup of 2. Taquito Spikes made the stop. Tell you, if you want to run into an NFL player that brings an enthusiasm similar to what you'd see on Saturdays, it's got to be Takeo Spikes. He is a tough young man.
Yeah, we started talking to him the other day, and he got excited in our little conversation meeting about how he gets his team jacked up. He said it gets him excited just to talk about it. They get in the huddle and they cheer and tease one another and get each other motivated.
Timeout. Baltimore. 24-7 Ravens lead here in Cincinnati. Baltimore with a lead over Cincinnati. You get the widescreen at home or at the stadium here at Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati. Ravens trying to get on the board in the second half. During this touchdown drought, they had difficulty in this half as well. That pass is incomplete. Pretty good coverage by Rodney Heath. Young man from this area, played high school ball at Western Hills High School in Cincinnati.
And these are one of the guys with the toughest job in the league right here, trying to cover a guy one-on-one. Does a tremendous job of closing, avoiding the possible infraction. Heath doing a tremendous job on the coverage.
Patrick Johnson was the intended receiver. 3rd down and 8 coming up. Now you've really got to give credit to Brian Billick and to Trent Dilfer. The game plan today, get Lewis going on the ground, and once you got that, open up the package, and they've done that. Over the middle and caught to Jermaine Lewis. He's down to about the 13-yard line. Artrell Hawkins the stop. Tonight on 60 Minutes, a letter marked urgent usually means someone is in urgent need of your money, and no one plays that game better than politicians. 60 Minutes tonight, followed by an all-new episode of Touched by an Angel. Then she was married to an American hero, but not every fairy tale turns out to be a dream come true. Don't miss the incredible story of Jackie Bouvier Kennedy. Onassis, a CBS miniseries event, all here on CBS. Now, Matt Stover. 32-yarder. Right through the uprights. And the Ravens extend their lead. (27-7) Baltimore with a lead over Cincinnati. Just under 9 minutes remaining in the game. Ravens led 24-0 at halftime. Jermaine Mack at the 1. And he high hurdles to the 25-yard line. Call it the 26. Brad Jackson made the stop. Corey Dillon makes his way out. Well, 278 against Denver. That's a record for a single game. 137 against Cleveland last week. Only 22 today. In fairness, without much of a passing game to offset what he's trying to accomplish, makes the business at hand very, very difficult against the league's best defense against the rush.
No question. It's a choice of preference. You can use the pass to set up the run to set up the pass, but if you don't have one arm working, you don't have a chance.
Smith's pass caught. It was thrown behind Warren. Nice job that time by Peter. Ahead for the first down at the 37-yard line. But we shouldn't be surprised that it's been difficult sledding for Corey Dillon. Look what the Ravens have done to all the other great backs they've faced this year.
There's not a guy on that list that I wouldn't want on my team.
That's all last year. Look at that. What they've been able to do against the competition. Big-time names there, too. They've not allowed a rusher to gain 100 yards in 26 consecutive games. This will make it 27. That's outstanding. Out to Dillon. And Corey steps out of bounds. Just shy of the first down at the 46-yard line.
And that's just a case where quarterback's getting the ball to a guy that can make a play, leaving it out in front of him, not on his back shoulder like he did on the prior play with Warwick, but putting it out in front of him. Give him an opportunity to make a play.
You know, when we talked to Marvin Lewis earlier in the week back on Thursday in Baltimore, the defensive coordinator of the Ravens, I said, is there any area where you need to improve? I said, maybe turnovers. He says, well, no, we're number 2 in turnover ratio. Maybe we need to score more ourselves with our turnovers. In other words, get the ball and then take it into the end zone. And he laughed about it. Dillon hit hard by McAllister, taken out of bounds. His style of defense is attack, 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 and we've got a flag down near the line of scrimmage. But Marvin Lewis was quick to point out that his defense in no way would ever begin to point fingers at the offense, that these guys are good friends and they're staying on the same page. But he did say,
holding, 82, offense, 10 yards, still second down.
He felt against Washington, Tennessee, and Pittsburgh that they might have been laxed in terms of down and distance, allowing teams to get in third and short too often, and he wanted to make certain that did not happen against Cincinnati, and it hasn't today.
No, it hasn't. And Timmy, when you look at Lewis, he reminds me a lot in terms of his philosophy, the way he handles his defense. Jeff Fisher, aggressive on defense with Blaine Bishop and then a whole bunch. The Saints are similar, aggressive.
Jim Haslett's done a tremendous job with that team. Battaglia with the reception at the 40-yard line. Jamie Sharper made the stop. The Saints were handling San Francisco very easily at last report. And big news of the day, obviously, that Jim Nantz and the guys back in New York will be telling us about through the course of the afternoon. Chicago's stunner against the Indianapolis Colts that is holding up into the fourth quarter. Now 27-17 Chicago. Smith sacked back at the 36-yard line. And again, James Trapp coming up, the speedster at the corner, along with Michael McCrary, whose sacks are down quite a bit this year, but they're still very high on what this All-Pro has done.
And Timmy, I'm going to call this a self-sack, because you look at Kelly, as he gets out, he runs into his own man. You know, he's looking around, looking downfield, trying to find an open receiver, but in doing so, he's totally not aware. Michael McCrary creating the pressure there. He runs into his own guy.
Yeah, that's just anxiety, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, you bet. The only cure for that is success. You got to have success running some possession-type passes, and they haven't done that here before.
Fair catch called by Lewis. 44-yard punt by Daniel Pope. Ravens in total control as Ken Anderson goes to work with Achille again. A few holdovers from Halloween weekend here in Cincinnati, where the Bengals trail 27-7. Tim Brando, Spencer Tillman, 6:16 remaining in our game. Lewis, I get a feeling that as this game wears on, the Bengals defense grows a bit more tired. There's yet another big run left in him. Spike still going at it. We just can't get them separated. Spikes and Harry Swain.
And that's just some of the frustration you're talking about. The tempers start to flare. Sparks is an excitable guy to begin with. You're down 27-7, no hope in sight.
You're right. Spikes has got a lot of spark. He's one of those tough cookies, and you know, you can understand the frustration, particularly for that defense when they know there's so much pressure on them to stop every offense at every turn.
Yeah, that's right. You know, he's piling on.
Yep. And Swain just gets in there with him. And then a hockey fight breaks out. They just hold on to one another, right? 2nd and 2. Lewis ahead. Well, we touched on how important this game was for Brian Billick for a variety of reasons, but most notably the schedule. Look at the remaining games. Now, cumulative records of these teams, 8 games under 500, so their most difficult games are behind them, and they could roll right back into this race, and they match up very well against Tennessee. If you think about that, other than the game with Tennessee, the records of those teams, 8 games under 500.
Yeah, you're looking at those next 8 games, the combined schedule, 22 and 34 for those teams. That's a pretty easy circle. And Timmy, you know, actually it's a lot worse than that, because Tennessee, well, they've got 1 loss in their schedule.
Right.
A chunk of those wins are coming from that group by themselves.
Well, Lewis is really getting the yards. And look at the rushing yards. Much of that belongs to him. 108 yards and the 146 belong to Jamal Lewis. He's added to that 70 yards receiving. The Bengals just 43 today. Therein lies the reason the score is 27-7. Play fake. Dilfer's pass. Patrick Johnson says, I have it. And he gets credit for the catch. A lot of pressure there coming from Vaughn Booker, but Dilfer hung tough and got the completion.
Trent's back to his high percentage stuff. He's pushing about a 12, 14, 16, almost 18-yard comeback route. He's got zone coverage. He splits it. Bean is there. But when you're throwing these possession-type passes, all these guys have to do is get to a point, and the ball is on its way before they have a chance to react. Ravens in complete control now.
Well, without Travis Taylor, who fractured his clavicle last week, they're happy to have Patrick Johnson back on the active list. There's a fumble by Lewis. Cincinnati says they've got it. Still no indication from the officials. Dilfer's lobbying that he was already on the ground. Yep, this has, as they say, down by contact. Yeah. Anytime you see the hand go down, that means down by contact, and you cannot review that. So that is one of those non-reviewable controversial plays in the NFL.
Talk about being official.
Yeah, it's a great and it's a good call. And you see one of the official there does not make the motion, but the line judge did. It was out of your screen. Once that happens, that means there's no argument. Second down. Incomplete. Shannon Sharp, the intended receiver. Artrell Hawkins, cornerback, was right there. The cover for Cincinnati. Third down and 10 coming up. There's the comparison on Lewis and Dillon. And the sheriff took a major hit today. That outlaw from Baltimore came in and took control of the game.
Yes, sir.
No help from Festus. Third and 10. A pump fake and a beauty. Looking for Qadri Ismail, broken up. Darrell Williams, the safety, came over to help in the double coverage along with Bean. Robert Bean, the rookie out of Mississippi State, number 49.
And that was probably the most, I guess, egregious mistake we've seen Dilfer make today. Underthrown into double coverage. Poor decision. And I think he knows it. The minute that ball is released and he sees those guys closing, he knows he didn't put enough on it. He's a little bit frustrated, isn't he?
Yep. He knows that it was there for him. Darrell Williams, by the way, got up a little gingerly and is being helped to the sidelines. Many times defensive backs, if you ask one of them who gave you the toughest hit, they'll say, well, one of my teammates. A safety coming over to help, and then the collision occurs.
Dilfer, he's going to eventually throw enough of those deep balls where he gets a sense or feel for how much he needs to put on it. And the conditions of where you're playing has a lot to do with that. But when you don't throw that many, you don't really have a sense of how much mustard you got to put on that pass.
Kyle Richardson will punt it away on 4th and 9.
Let him go.
East will let this one go into the end zone. 53-yard boot. Bengals will have it at the 20-yard line. Coming up next, the NFL on CBS continues as the Kansas City Chiefs visit the Oakland Raiders, or the Denver Broncos take on the New York Jets. All next here on CBS. Been a rough day at the office for Corey Dillon. You have to expect, we talked to him about this, he's having a great year. He signed a one-year contract. The good news is he's having that year. The bad news for Cincinnati, he could be having it at just the wrong time as a free agent on the open market. But he did indicate to us that he's happy here in Cincinnati. Curtis Keaton takes him forward. The other thing I think he likes is Dick LeBeau.
Yeah.
Let's face it, if this staff, headed by Dick LeBeau, is embraced by Mike Brown enough that perhaps he could take this job not only on an interim basis but permanently. It might affect the decision of Corey Dillon.
And it might affect the decision of Brown as well to keep LeBeau, because you could lose both of them.
That's right. Oh, I think both of them could get work. 27-7 our score here in Cincinnati. Here at the 2-minute warning in Cincinnati, 27-7, Baltimore with the lead. Well, Baltimore's defense has only given up 7 points to Cincinnati in the last 3 meetings. The last 2 were shutouts. That would be 2.3 points per game they've given up in the last 3 meetings with Cincinnati. Yeast had it and really got popped. Knocked free by Rod Woodson.
And they're still just as active in this fourth quarter as they were when this game began.
Yeah, and he gets up gingerly.
You know, you don't understand what force these guys come with every time. Rod Woodson is not a small guy. He's a big guy, over 200 pounds. He comes flying in there with his body, giving it 100% he's got. And we've got under 2 minutes to play. They're in complete control, but he's still playing the game the only way he knows how.
You know, that's the same route Yeast cut off earlier. He came through with that one, didn't he?
Came in with his high heels on.
Indeed. Pass is thrown behind Ward. Incomplete. Brad Jackson was there to provide the coverage. Yeast is still feeling the effects of that hit absorbed from Rod Woodson a few moments ago along the Bengals sidelines. Now you see some of the other scores. Jim Nantz and the guys in New York will keep you posted on all that's going on. Pittsburgh giving it to Tennessee. That could be very interesting, particularly for the Ravens, who'd like to think that they match up very well with Tennessee, and another opportunity against them is forthcoming. Dallas had the lead early, but they're now tied. High punt taken out of bounds. Baltimore will have it in Cincinnati territory at the 47-yard line. Well, Peter Warrick's had his moments, but he wasn't happy at the end of that sequence. Rob Burnett throwing a little shoulder their way. Not much respect from the opposition today to that Cincinnati offense.
Well, you got to earn it. And when you start dropping balls, those older guys have been around a while. They will test the younger players. I guarantee you, if he's been in the league 8, 9, 10 years, that doesn't happen. And once you stop making plays or showing a proclivity to drop passes and not impact your team positively, particularly if you're a #1 draft pick, they're going to give you grief.
Well, they're going to take a knee here. So whatever the bad blood was in the first meeting that some thought Brian Billick and the Ravens had, one can only speculate that Bruce Coslett may have had something to do with that. Dick LeBeau will drop to 2-4 in his tenure as head coach since taking over on September 25th. But I still get a feeling that while this is a hard lesson learned for the Bengals, he still has a lot in reserve, and working with this young team and giving them an identity. You know, they never got away from what he wants to do with the Cincinnati team.
Yeah, I agree with you, Timmy. I think, however, they've got to be concerned, and Dick has got to be careful here, because what could happen, his team could start looking at this, and football players do this. Yeah. They think a little bit too much. Hey, you know, we had some success the last couple of weeks, but we beat a team that was 29th ranked defense, right, run department, then 15th ranked. We really didn't beat anybody. Right. It was an aberration. Denver, decimated by injuries in front of their defensive line. So was that a quality win?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And Cleveland with a third-string quarterback.
You bet. All kind of injury problems for them.
But the Baltimore Ravens will move to 6-4, and again, Tennessee looms. They're losing to Pittsburgh as we speak, 7-6 late in that game. Still very much a part of the race in the Central. And Brian Billick's got to be really, really pleased with what he witnessed today in Trent Dilfer. The learning curve in this offense in that man's second start for the Baltimore Ravens He's well on his way.
I think we need to pat him on the back simply because of this. 1998, they set an NFL record for the passing department, well over 4,000 yards for that year. He wanted to come and duplicate the same thing here, but he saw today in a Cincinnati defense that was weak against the run, attack him in an area that's not necessarily his calling card.
Coming up next, Kansas City at Oakland. Others will see Denver at the New York Jets. Today's game produced by Al Szymanski, directed by Dick Klein. For Spencer Tillman, this is Tim Brando saying so long from Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati, where the
Titans and the Steelers are coming down to a Del Greco kick. Let's go to Nashville with our bonus coverage. This for the win, Al Del Greco.
Use the snapper. It's down, up, and good. And the Tennessee Titans take a 9-7 lead with 4 seconds to go. Unofficially, a 29-yard field goal for Al Del Greco.
Watch Dwayne Washington coming from the right side of your screen. Just a half an arm short. Got back there. Del Greco got it off, put it right down the middle.
So it looks like Coach Fisher and the Titans will remain undefeated here in Nashville. On the other sideline, Bill Cowher. Heartbreaking to see that ball go through the uprights.
And all week, both teams said it was going to be a slugfest, decided in the fourth quarter. That's what Bill Cowher had said to us. He just wants to be in position to win. And the Steelers were in position to win. The executive producers of the NFL on CBS, Sean McManus and Terry Ewert. Today's game produced by Robert Herman Monsbach, directed by Steve Milton. So Hendrick lines it up. Line drive kick. Steelers need a miracle. Bobby Shaw throws it back to Hines Ward. Ward drops the ball. It's picked up, and that's the game. Well, it's still alive. And that's the game. The Tennessee Titans reach deep down and come up with a 9-7 win. So for Brett Jones and Marcus Allen, this is Gus Johnson saying so long from Nashville, where the final score is Tennessee 9, Pittsburgh 7. Coming up next, stay tuned for Game 2 of our doubleheader, where you will see the Broncos at the Jets or the Chiefs take on the Raiders.